Okay, section 1.4 is about putting it all together. You guys have learned about combining like terms, you've learned about all the algebraic properties, you've learned about just simplifying. So now we're going to kind of tie all of those things together. And we're going to start moving towards equations here in a little bit. An equation is when you have two expressions that are set equal to one another. So the difference is an equation has an equal sign, an expression does not. So just kind of in review, the distributive property, is what we use to expand groups and remove parentheses. That's why we always do it first, so that when we're trying to use the other properties that it's kind of easier. Then there's the commutative property. Remember, that's when the numbers switch places. This is going to be used to change the order of numbers. That way you've got like terms that actually go together. And then the last one is the associative property. The associative property is going to be used to group like terms. So what does this look like? Notice that the problems down here below say simplify the expressions, and then it says justify each step. Now on the first three examples, I've actually justified the steps for you. But then down towards number 4, you should notice that those steps have gone away. So the first step, if you look over here to the right, tells you that it's the distributive property. Well, if we go back up, that's where we're going to remove parentheses by expanding the groups. Remember, it's just multiplication. So we take the number that's outside the parentheses and we multiply it times everything that is inside. So 3 times x is 3x. Positive 3 times negative 4, do not lose your signs, is negative 12. Then on the second set of parentheses, this is a negative 2, and we're going to distribute that to 8. And then we're going to distribute that to negative, don't lose that, x. So negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. And then negative 2 times negative x makes positive 2x. And again, remember, if you're not sure on your multiplication, please use a calculator. Alright, the second step is our commutative property. Again, if you go back up and look at the top, the commutative property says that we're going to change the order of the numbers so that the like terms are together. So going back to this, we're going to take this positive 2x and we're going to write it next to the 3x. So 3x and then plus the 2x, and then we still have the minus 12 and the minus 16. Good. Now we're ready for the next step, which is the associative property, which means to group, not that you can see that, sorry, group the like terms together. So now I would do parentheses around these like terms, and then I would also do parentheses around these like terms. And then the last part is to actually combine the like terms and put them together. 3x plus 2x makes 5x. And then negative 12 minus 16 makes negative 28. So your final answer is that simplified expression. Good. So let's try another one. We're going to jump down and I'm going to do number 3 with you. So number 3 Again, the first step is to distribute to get rid of parentheses. So 5 times 2a, and then 5 times b. So 5 times 2a would give me 10a, and then 5 times positive b would give me positive 5b. On the second set, here's our negative sign. So we would distribute. So negative 2 times positive 3a is negative 6a. And then negative 2 times negative, do not lose this, 5b is positive 10b. Our next property is commutative, so remember that means we need to put them together. So we've got 10a. The like term with 10a is this 6a, but don't lose this sign. So we would move the 6a to go with the 10a. And then this is a positive 5b and a positive 10b. So now that they're beside each other, we're ready to group them using the associative property. So we've got 10a minus 6a, and then we have 5b plus 10b. And now we're ready to simplify that expression. So 10a minus 6a is 4a, and then 5b plus 10b would be 15b. Good. So you should be able to do those other two problems on your own. So let's flip over onto the back. I kind of want to look at some of these down here at the bottom. Of course, I will do the one that has the fractions in it, and then you guys can do the ones that have decimals in it. Just remember to use your calculator. So I'm going to do number 10 with you, if I can get my paper to work out here. So the directions, before we do that, it says simplify the expression first, justify your steps, which is what we were just doing. Then the next step says evaluate for the given values. So for number 10, remember our first step is to distribute. So we're going to distribute 1/4 to 12m. So that's basically like dividing 12 by 4. So that would give me 3m. And then 1/4 times 2. Again, we could do it in our calculators in case you don't trust me. Hold on. Let me show you. I know this is an old calculator. I didn't bring an Inspire home. But if I do 1/4 times 12, that's where I came up with that 3m. And now if I do that 1/4 times 2, it gives me 0.5, which we could leave as 0.5, or remember you can do your math frac and change it to a half. So this is plus 1/2 n. Then on this side, remember I'm distributing a negative 1/5. So this is negative 1/5 times 5, so parentheses, negative 1/5 times 5 gives me negative 1, so minus 1m, and then here, negative 1/5 times negative 3. And it gives me 0.6, or I can math frac and I can put 3/5. I don't care if you use the decimals or the fractions, it's up to you. So remember, this was our distribute. Next, remember, comes our commutative. So I need to group like things together. So notice I've got a 3m, a minus 1m, that's here, and then I have a 3/5 m. And at this point I probably should have left them as a decimal. And then I have the plus 1/2 n by itself. And this was our commutative. So then associative, I'm going to add the parentheses. So basically I'm taking everything that has the m and putting it in one set. And then this would be in a set on its own. So now I'm ready to simplify. Again, I could use my calculator. 3 minus 1 plus, and then parentheses, 3/5. And it says 2.6. This time I am going to leave it as a decimal. I should have done that in the first place. And then we would have plus, and then 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. So 0.5 n. So this is your simplified expression. So then the last part is to take these numbers and plug them into this equation. So 2.6 m would be 5 plus 0.5, and then n would be -10. So you could type this all in at once. 2.6 parentheses 5 plus 0.5 parentheses -10, and it ends up telling you that the simplified answer here is 8. Now what you could also do is do them separate. 2.6 times 5, which would have been 13, and then 0.5 times -10 is -5, and that's where the 8 actually came from. But again, notice I could type all of this in. So your job is to work the rest of these problems. If you need help, come and ask.